All right, good afternoon, everybody. We are here for our regular scheduled Southeast Texas Regional Planning Commission meeting. Today is April 15, 2026, the year of our Lord. Welcome to the Executive Committee meeting of the Southeast Texas Regional Planning Commission, and thank you all for your attendance today. Please note that though this meeting is an in-person meeting, it is being live streamed and recorded. For those viewing by live stream, they are not counted as being in attendance, nor can they actively participate. As a reminder, according to the Southeast Texas Regional Planning Commission bylaws, Article 3, any member of the Southeast Texas Regional Planning Commission that is in arrears and dues cannot vote until the dues are paid. Dennis, I think we're covered. Also, if you do need to speak, please state your name. If you are a member of the public and would like to address an item on the agenda, once you're recognized, you may speak up to 3 minutes regarding that item. At this time, we will begin with a roll call in order to establish a quorum. Suzanne?
Hardin County, County Judge Wayne McDaniel and Commissioner Ernie Cook. Jasper County, County Judge Mark Allen and Commissioner Dennis Marks. Orange County, Commissioner Kirk Rockerford and Commissioner Chris Sowell. Beaumont, Councilmember Chris Durio. Rouge City, we have Councilmember Aaron Rockerford and Councilmember Shelby Dixon. City of Jasper, Mayor Clark McLean. Needleton, Mayor Jeff Darby. Orange, we have the Director of Planning Community there, that's Kelvin Knopf. In Port Neches, we have Mayor Robert Arnold. Silsbee, Mayor Danny Renaud. Sour Lake, Mayor Michael Hendricks. West Orange, Mayor Randy Branch. And we also have Councilmember Jay Odom. Morrisville Municipal Utilities District, we have Mr. Brad Heckquist. Jasper County ESD number 1, Commissioner Billy Ted Smith. We also have a guest, Kim Klein was Executive Director of Red Cross, and she brought Edward Blanchard with her. We have Kate Ashton, she's an SVP Fellow. With our federal delegation, we have Mr. Blake Hopper, Deputy District Director, U.S. Congressman Randy Weber, and we have Mr. Harris, who's the District Services for Senator Robert Nichols. We do have a quorum. Did I miss one?
I think you missed me. Probably because I didn't sign in. Because I got distracted. Shannon distracted me.
Okay.
Usually helps to sign in, Carrie.
Commissioner Eric. Commissioner Carey.
That's
That one
it.
too. Thank you, Ms. Suzanne. All right, this time is stand Mayor Randy Branch for leaves invocation, followed by Commissioner Carey.
Let's pray. Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, for this opportunity to come together and to work towards the best that's for all of our citizens wherever we're located at. Father, I especially want to pray right now for all the strife that's going on in the world. Pray that you will pour your Holy Spirit out upon those that are leading these nations, and that you would lead them and guide them in the right direction to go. Bring peace into the world instead of war. Father, I pray for your blessings upon this food. I pray that your Holy Spirit would nourish our hearts, our minds, and our souls so that we walk in your world, in your wisdom, in your way. Thank you. We ask for your guidance, all in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Mayor. All right, this time, go to number 4, approval of the March 18, 2026 Executive Committee meeting minutes.
Move approval.
Thank you, sir. Got a motion. Do we have a second? Do we have any discussion? No discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Number 5, approval of the Treasury Report for February 2026. And also an action.
Move approval.
Second. I've got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That carries. Number 6, administration is going to be approval of the annual comprehensive financial report for our fiscal year ending September 30th, 2025. And we've got Mr. Jeff King, which will be an action item also.
Thank you, Judge. Hello, everyone. I appreciate y'all coming out today. Thank you for your time. I'm covering the white handout in your packets and seeking executive approval for FY25 annual comprehensive financial report. A hard copy of the report was made available today at the sign table and was also posted for review to our website on Wednesday, April 1st. The Planning Commission bylaws require us to have an annual audit of the financial statements. This year's audit was performed by Mitchell T. Fonto CPA firm, and before I invite them up to speak, I'd like to cover some of the highlights from this year's audit. The independent audit report issued an unmodified opinion, which means that the financial statements were fairly presented. We reported a net position at 9/30 of 2025 of $5.5 million. Out of the $5.5 million, $2 million of those funds are classified as unrestricted funds and are used to meet our ongoing financial obligations to pay our bills. The remaining 3.5% represents our agency's net investment in capital assets. The general fund balance increased approximately $66,000 and reports a fund balance of $1.18 million. These are monies that are used to support region-wide initiatives while also covering disbursements prior to reimbursement from our grantor agency. Our agency-wide expenditures totaled $14.4 million. That's down 2.5 compared to the previous year. And this decrease was primarily related to a few factors. The first one was the completion of the Jasper County Tower project prior to FY25, with the bulk of those expenditures occurring in FY24. The Transportation Division replaced fewer buses in FY25 compared to the previous year. And then lastly, there was a decrease in grant funds for the area agency on aging and obviously the related program specific expenditures associated with those funds. And finally, I wanted to mention, which I feel like is the most important point, the overall financial condition of the Planning Commission is strong. So at this time, I'd like to invite our guest up from the audit firm of Mitchell T. Fontenot CPA. We have both partners with us today, Mitch Fontenot and Krista Wofford, say a few things about the audit. And before they begin too, I wanted to just thank them for working with me on meeting my timeline for the DOFA achievement of the Certificate of Excellent Award is a 3/31 deadline, and they worked hard to help me achieve that. So I appreciate them working with me on that. So I'll turn it over to them.
Thank you, Jeff. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Mitch Fontenot. This is Krista Elmer Fudd going on here. Krista Wofford. She's my partner, and we appreciate the opportunity to come out and work with you guys and accomplish this task for you. And of course, Jeff and all your staff and getting the information. Very appreciative that. We can always screw up your day trying to get information, but you are very helpful to us. I'm going to let Krista go through kind of the details of what we did and how we came to our opinions, but we do want to show you that appreciation.
Just real briefly here, when we come in and do an audit, like Mitch said, it can be pretty disruptive. We have to come in and do a risk assessment. We form a risk assessment, get a level of risk. Typically, we like that to be as low as possible to design our testing. We then come in and do testing. Now we are testing, so we're taking samples of disbursements, samples of deposits, and things like that to analyze your internal controls to determine if they're working like they're supposed to be working, so that you know that you can rely on the numbers presented on a monthly basis for making decisions. So all of that testing did not have any exceptions, so that's how we led to an unmodified, clean opinion. Also, this book that Jeff puts together is very, it's called a comprehensive financial report for a reason. It's a lot of extra work to get that certificate to submit to go and achieve that every year. That's a ton of work. It's a big accomplishment just to complete it on time and get that certificate. So I want to say that's a great job.
Thank you.
That's pretty much it, but I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any about the audit process or the act itself.
Well, there's no questions. We appreciate y'all your time again, and I want to turn it back over to the judge and for the executive committee for approval for the FY25 annual comprehensive financial report.
Thanks again, guys.
Thank you. Y'all have got a motion built in. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, thank you, sir. We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion on that audit? All right, no discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Carried. Thank you very much. Number 7, the division, approve a resolution recognizing fair housing and turn it over to Sharon.
Thanks so much. You know that thing on your job description that says other duties as assigned? Well, I'm here for disaster recovery today.
Hoorah.
Well, for this item. April's recognized as Fair Housing Month across the U.S. The Fair Housing Act was enacted April 11th of 1968. The purpose of that act was to eliminate discrimination in housing and promote equal housing opportunities for all individuals. Attached on the second sheet is a resolution recognizing fair housing in the Southeast Texas Regional Planning Commission's fair housing activities. And so basically this names or recognizes April as Fair Housing Month, and it also lines out our activities taken at the SETRPC, which is to participate in a local fair housing related event. We're also this year going to participate in something that's a little more statewide with some other COGs, and I'm in the process of being involved in that right now. Then we also have notices about fair housing that are multiple languages that are posted throughout our building and also in public areas, the public areas around our building and on our website as well. So the last piece of this resolution also encourages all entities in Southeast Texas to abide by the letter and spirit of the fair housing law. And so we just bring this to you for approval in recognition of Fair Housing Month.
All right, do we have a motion?
Motion.
To approve the resolution? Thank
You gonna read that up?
The whole thing?
I mean, I can.
No, I grew up in Newton.
Okay, you just read the lot.
Commissioner March and I did this yesterday. We both heard it already. We got a motion in a second. Anybody like me to read this aloud? Hold on.
Just kidding, man.
All right, any other discussion?
I'd like to make a motion, but you don't read.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, that one carries. Had a rough crowd today. All right, number 8, we've got the Criminal Justice and Homeland Security Division. We've got Ms. Kaylin Arundel. We have one on the top, but if y'all don't mind, I'm a little bit left-handed dyslexic. I'll dance around a little bit, so I'm gonna jump down to the second item first and get a couple of those items done before we hop back. So approval of the Emergency Management Planning Advisory Committee impact recommendations regarding the FY 2026 State Homeland Security, SHSP, and Law Enforcement Terrorism Prevention Activity, LEPA grant application. So I'm gonna turn this over to Ms. Kagan on that one.
Thank you, Judge. Okay, we've been busy over here in the Criminal Justice and Homeland Security Division because it is prioritization season. So for our Homeland Security Advisory Committee, which we call the Impact Emergency Management Planning Advisory Committee, we met on April 2nd to prioritize FY 2026 Homeland Security projects. I know FY 2025 is still lingering out there, but we're moving forward part of the course like we usually do. So what y'all have attached in this big paper, because we made it as big as possible on this ledger, is the projects that were submitted, how they ranked, how they were reduced, because we do get we are told from the Office of the Governor, Public Safety Office, to base recommendations for the next year off of the previous year. FY 2025 hasn't been awarded yet. However, we got a little over $100,000 extra of what we thought, what was submitted and what we thought from 2024. So we based our projects on that with the hope that we would still get additional money. So as you can see, projects were reduced a little bit to fit our estimate of what we think we will get for FY 2026. And it's broken down like the order, like where it says, final ranking per impact vote. That's how we are submitting it to the Office of the Governor. With these projects, we do have to meet national priority areas. 35% has to be considered LETPA, which is Law Enforcement Terrorism Prevention Act. So 35% of projects have to go to that, and then at least 30%, however they can overlap, have to go to national priority areas, which are also listed. So we are seeking a approval to accept the ranking project amount recommendations for FY 2026 Homeland Security Grant Program as recommended by our Impact Emergency Management Planning Advisory.
We got a motion. I've got a motion to approve. Do we have a second? Second. Thank you, sir. Do we have any discussion on that one? All right, no discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Now, if y'all just bear with me, we're gonna go to the next one underneath, Southeast Texas Alerting Network, stand update, information item, again presented by Kevin.
The Southeast Texas Alerting Network stand, has been funded by the Port Security Grant Program since my record shows to 2012. However, it's been prior to that, and we've submitted a project for Port Security for this for decades now. We were told in 2023 that the likelihood that we are going to get funded for this is diminishing as the Port Security Grant Program is shifting priorities. We went ahead and applied for 2025 with the hope that we could get funding. There was a little bit of a chance that we could with the movement towards mass notification, unfortunately from the incidents that happened in Kerrville last summer. So we submitted the project. However, we submitted it for 3 years of operations and we were not funded near that amount. So because of that, in order to keep the stand program up and running in our region, which is a vital system to the Southeast Texas region for all 4 counties, we are going to need local jurisdiction. They're going to be financially responsible for this program. Mind you, local jurisdictions have not been financially responsible for this program for decades. We have been able to get this through grant funding, and through that grant funding source, there is a 25% match that our local industrial facilities have taken care of since then with in-kind donations for advertisement, media, anything that advertises stand, whether it's the commercials, radio, and some billboards, is paid through the Plant Managers Forum and our industrial partners, and we use it as income. So because of that, we are starting, our grant ends 9/30 of 2026. So starting 10/1, in order for the program to continue, we will need jurisdiction support to pay for it financially. The breakdown, we had a meeting on Monday to talk with our local jurisdictions about what that is going to look like. And attached, we have our cost estimates. It's on the yellow handout. The cost estimates of what each jurisdiction is responsible for and a stand participation form. Because industry has supported the program for all these years and they want to continue to support the program because it's so important to our region, they have agreed to pay 50% of the yearly operational cost. So 50% of the annual operational cost is taken care of by industry. The remaining 50%, we broke it down based on population for each jurisdiction, which is how we do most things at the Planning Commission, with a minimum 1% for those organizations within Everbridge who don't necessarily have a population attached to them or a minimal population. So the minimum amount is 1% of the cost, and then the rest of it is based per population. So this is really just an informational item. There's no action needed. We just wanted to make sure that the communities were aware of what was coming starting 10/1, and that we will need stand participation forms submitted by May 31st if jurisdictions plan to continue to use the system.
Any questions, Ms. Kayla?
I would just like to add to the last paragraph that you see on there. We just wanted to remind jurisdictions as well, in light of the latest situation with Valero. The Planning Commission is not responsible, nor do we send out any type of community messaging. That power lies within the municipal entity. You're considered users of that system, so your emergency management coordinators and your elected officials have the authority to send that messaging out. So there has been some confusion with some entities as to how this actually works, but we just want to make it clear that we do not send any messaging out on behalf of your jurisdictions.
Any other questions with stand and operations moving forward?
We only deal with the financial end of this, the operational end. Do we have a contact person? I've had some complaints that the messages being sent out are not going out everywhere. I have on my personal phone, I have it set up where I get
all three texts, email, as well as a phone call. And in the Valero incident, other people that I was with were getting notifications, and mine never went off. I've had them check it, and I'm listed, I'm supposed to be getting all of it, and I only get one, maybe two notifications. And I get more notifications from the other cities than I do through us.
Okay, you should be getting messaging for anything that you're registered for. So when you go to the stand.org and register yourself, there's different items that you can choose. If you're having trouble getting messaging, let us know and we'll troubleshoot that for you.
There is still one that and the only reason I know so much about this is because I'm one of them that's not getting the message.
Gotcha.
And I should be the first one to get the messaging. But when it goes out, I don't always get it.
Sure, we'll be happy to troubleshoot that for you. If it's on the receiving end, we can find out what's going on. And again, the jurisdiction is the one responsible. So in some cases, we don't see jurisdictions using the system at all. So.
Well, I knew what was going on because I got on the phone when it happened. I got on the phone with my coordinators.
Sure.
They found out what was going on. But when it started going out to the public, I got none of the notifications, nothing.
Okay.
And then I've talked to several other people that are having the same problem.
Okay.
And I know this is on the agenda, council agenda for the next meeting.
Yes, sir.
And I know it's going to come up.
Okay. If you would like us there, we'll be happy to be at your council meeting as well, as you're dealing with this. Just let us know.
All right.
Did you want to add, Kevin?
We always ask residents to double check what you're registered for, because that could have something to do with it too. And jurisdictions also have the ability to send out to maps of certain areas. So instead of the whole city per se, and we'll use Beaumont just because we're here, you can be registered for Beaumont and they can send out a map only addressing a certain area, where even though you're registered for Beaumont, if your address is not within that map, you wouldn't be notified for it. So there's different ways that jurisdictions, and it's their responsibility to send it out and who to contact, like who to reach.
I made sure that I went back, made sure, had them check, make sure what I was signed up for. I'm signing up for it. And I'm signed up for it. It's just not, the system's not putting it through.
We can look into it.
Yeah.
And we've had several instances like that. And if something like that, I want to be sure I can get reliable information out to my citizens as quick as possible.
Absolutely.
And not have to worry about whether or not they're getting it.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Yeah. Did you get that one?
I didn't get
that. All right. Any other questions for Ms. Kayla on that one? All right, we're gonna go ahead, I just want to get that stuff done. We're gonna go ahead and hop back up to, this is kind of a test to see if everybody's following. Approval of the FY 2027 Criminal Justice Advisory Committee, CJAC Criminal Justice Division, funding recommendations. And once again, it's an action item presented by Ms. Kayla Nairn.
Hi, thank you. The Criminal Justice Advisory Committee, we call them the CJAC, we met on April 8th to prioritize FY 2027. They're a year ahead. For projects submitted to the Criminal Justice Division with the Office of the Governor Public Safety Office for juvenile justice delinquency prevention, truancy prevention, criminal justice program, which used to be Justice Assistant Grant Funding. It just was renamed something else. And VOCA, which is General Victim Service, and VAWA, Violence Against Women Act. Grant applications submitted under those funding sources that were back to us from the Office of the Governor. As you can see, the way we do get money from we get a notification from the Public Safety Office of what we call it an RBE, a regional budget expectation of what the called area anticipates to get. That is just an estimate. It is not set in stone of what we receive, and we try to align our projects with that. From our meeting on the 8th, if you will look at your green handout, it is the attachment. This is the ranking score, because each applicant is given 5 minutes to present their project, and then our committee scores the project. Those score sheets are collected, and 2 SETRP staff tabulates our scores, and then we put them into a spreadsheet to see what the average score is. And projects are listed in score order, except for one. On the handout, the white legal sheet is the score, ranking, and recommended funding amounts for each project. As you can see, the JJDP is at the top, truancy prevention. The violence against women is the pink. The general victim assistance programs, that is the blue. And the law enforcement, the criminal justice program is the green. Because we got our regional budget expectation the day of the meeting, like while the meeting was going, I stopped to go print so everybody would have a handout of it. We usually meet prior to, especially for criminal justice, because the applicants usually work together and reduce projects where everybody gets a little piece of the pie. Unfortunately, funding is going down for all of these. And so we work in a spirit of collaboration so that everybody gets something. Are there any, everything is in order except for Hardin County. The applicant said that because this is a continuation, a project that he was willing to reduce, even though he scored higher, 7 to 8, he was willing to flip those. And so that is why number 8 in the green section, the average score is higher than number 7. With victim services, it was over the allocation. It was agreed upon from the Criminal Justice Advisory Committee, recommended that projects over $150,000 be reduced 2%, and any project over $500,000 be reduced 35%. Because of the limited amount expectation that we got for these projects. So I am respectfully requesting approval for the ranking, prioritization, and recommended funding amount for the Criminal Justice Advisory Committee FY 2027 criminal justice projects.
So moved. Second. Motion is 2 seconds. Do we have any discussion?
Yes, sir. If you don't mind, I have a couple of questions.
Commissioner Harris.
I'm looking at this average score, and obviously I know that the funding was reduced. So, somebody's going to take a hit somewhere. But I look on this average score specifically in the general victim assistance area. What does that consist of? What are they ranked on?
So there is a score sheet that is provided, and the score sheet is provided to all applicants too. So as soon as the request for application, the applications are open in December. In January, we have a grant application workshop, and the applicants are given the score sheets that the Criminal Justice Advisory Committee scores on. It's project reasonableness, are goals achievable or outcomes achievable? Have they proven themselves, the history of the program proven itself? It's 10 questions and it ranks it out of 100. I would have to get a copy of the score sheet for you. But applicants are given the score sheet so they know what the committee is scoring on.
I have a question. I'm gonna plead ignorant here, but did Orange County not submit an application?
For,
Nothing.
The city of Orange does,
Yeah, City of
their
Orange,
mobile
I saw
survey,
that.
like their camera, and he's done this for several years. I think this is his third maybe. I'd have to go back and look, but yeah.
Where did that, and that was just a recommendation of the committee to reduce projects over 500,000 by 35%?
Yes, sir. We had originally gone in and we just go in with a baseline, just a starting point. Any project over $150,000 be reduced by 10%. However, once it was brought to the group and they started talking about it, some of the projects, they were taking, the 10% was a big reduction to them. And so it was the recommendation of the committee to do 2% on projects over $150,000 and then a project over $500,000 be reduced by 35% to still go within the regional allocation, or to more closely align with the regional allocation.
Ms. Caitlin, if I could, just for any of our Jasper County folks, at the bottom, Jasper County DA's office submitted a Jasper County Forensic Investigation Project. They withdrew that to assist the sheriff's office so they could stay in the running and be able to, and the rest of the jurisdictions could get a little more funding down there at the bottom. So that's the reason our DA's office backed off and withdrew that application.
We do say in the spirit of collaboration, and I will say for the most part, our applicants work, and it has been historically, the criminal justice advisory, the criminal justice program, when we get our regional budget expectation prior to, we meet prior to, and so they go into the meeting, so we don't even hold up any of the meeting talking about reductions. And they are a well-oiled machine on this, and they know what works best for the region, and that way everybody can see it.
I want to go on the record saying I think every one of these general victim assistance, these services are very important to our respective communities and to the Southeast Texas region. If there's any way to find any additional funding for the family services, which was, I mean, that's a big hit, going from an 800,000 applicant request to 520,000. And I know, obviously, you have limited funds and you have to make a decision about how that's going to go. But that does serve the entire area, correct?
Yes, sir.
And I know that they recently moved into a newer facility. And I think their actual demand is increasing, not decreasing, unfortunately. So if there's any way for us to help them, if there's any additional funds that come in off of this, I definitely think we need to take a look at that. I do have a little bit of an issue with the score. If it was downgrade, I mean, I'd have to look back again. I can't imagine, going from this scoring going from 92 to 78. I don't know what they would have missed or how that score would have gotten so low other than the amount of the request. But that being said, I mean, I don't know that there's a whole lot of, unfortunately we can't be like the feds and print money. So
We tried in Jasper County, they get upset.
I'm sure you did. It doesn't surprise me.
Yes, sir.
Yep, I'm going to have to agree with Commissioner Erickson over there. This family services for Southeast Texas, this is like a shelter, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so then it's the only one in the area, isn't it? I would hope that we could find a way to, and let me ask this, is everyone on here recommended to receive this funding over here, contingent upon CJD guidance and allowance?
Yes. Yes, so we say that because the Office of the Governor, Public Safety Office, Criminal Justice Division has the absolute final say and authority on this. However, they take the Criminal Justice Advisory Committee recommendations very seriously. They want to keep local control the best that we can. Austin doesn't know what's needed down here. And so that's why the advisory committee is very important. We get approval of the members. The committee is, an elected official has to nominate a committee member, and then we present the committee members for approval here. So it's just a recommendation. We submit the resolution. The committee agreed to what was presented on the white handout, and they voted on it. The resolution is attached, and then we bring it before the executive committee for final approval before we submit these recommendations up to the Office of the Governor. So this has not been submitted to the Office of the Governor yet, and we cannot submit it until it is agreed upon by the executive committee.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
No, that was it. I know Ms. Tomarov from Family Services is here, and I think she would like to say something.
Sir? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, everyone. My name is Deborah Tomov. I lead Family Services of Southeast Texas, and I'm here to ask the Executive Committee to consider the prioritization chart right now. I'm going to give you, I know I have 3 minutes, and I'm going to be quick. I'm going to give you why we prioritize in this area. First, we have the numbers, right? Last year alone, we served 1,742 clients for DV, for domestic violence, 503 clients for sexual assault, and a total of 2,245 clients. There are 52,260 shelter days and 134,700 services rendered combined for both services. We align with the Southeast Texas Regional Planning Commission and their priorities. We have a proven track record of victim services since 1985. The agency has been open since 1931. We are the only shelter in an 89-mile radius. So here in Beaumont to Houston, here in Beaumont to Jasper, and then from Jasper to Lafayette. We collaborate with local victim services and agencies. We have satellite office in Tyler County. We have satellite office in Port Arthur, and we are working on a satellite office in Orange. We only not work with local agencies, but we also go to the state level to make sure that we advocate for funding, not just for family services, but for Southeast Texas and regional, for Southeast Texas in general. I sat in the board of Texas Council on Family Violence, and that is in Austin, and I was part of their board, and that's to elevate the voice and the need for Southeast Texas. I just want to tell you guys that I think if you can reconsider the prioritization, I know that we are talking about the amount, but the prioritization of our agency. We serve 6 counties. We serve Jefferson, Orange, Tyler, Newton, Hardin, and I haven't missed anything. And Jasper. So a third of this budget, so we are in the Deep East Texas regional, we are in Deep East Texas too. So we do the Tyler County and Newton County. We get about 2/3 of our budget for our Jasper shelter. And then 1/3 of our budget for the Jasper shelter is coming from Southeast Texas Regional Planning Commission. So you need to think about this. We have 144 beds right now. We went from 65 to 144 because we know that capacity is an issue. So 1/3 of the Jasper's budget is coming from this budget that we're asking for.
What percentage of your budget is this?
It's probably about 30, because right now, it's about almost less than 50%, because our budget for the shelter in itself, if we're asking for 800,000, our budget for the whole entire shelters is about $2.3 million.
Did the state cut your funding too?
Yeah, for health and human services. And we are in the same boat because for example, in Deep East Texas, and I don't want to say this, but in Deep East Texas, we are not the priority for them. Their Lufkin shelter is their priority. They have a 35-bed shelter over there. So we are, because we only serve 2 counties out of Deep East Texas, so we're not their priority. So they cut half of our Jasper money. We asked for $120,000, they gave us $70,000 to operate the Jasper shelter.
Well, what are the items that you're going to have to remove from your budget or from your services?
Well, that means the quality of service. Like for last year, because we got cuts, we have a legal advocacy program. We have about 14 attorneys that helps our women and children and our survivors actually go to court to get divorce, child custody. We're not even able to do that on protective orders because we were cut last year. If we were cut again, then there's going to be so many services. The wraparound services is going to affect that. Your free counseling is going to affect that because at the end of the day, our priority is the safety of our shelter. So we need to keep them safe first. And then if that means that we have to staff it first, then we do that. Your counseling and everything else that goes around them, we're going to have to send them elsewhere. And we don't want to do that because everything that we do at the shelter and they're non-residential is free. They don't have to worry about it. They don't have to worry about the thing.
Do you receive any additional funding from sources such as United Way?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do, but those are very small. Of course, the United Way, they're very generous, but they're also very small. So we get about 1% of those, 2% in the bigger scheme of things. And then we do get money from Health and Human Services, and that's one of our biggest funder. So
Was that funding cut? That's what I was asking. How much? What
we went
percentage
from
of that?
1.2 million, we got to cut about almost 300,000. And we're going up to like 859 right now. And again, you know, I know that this was brought up too. I want you guys to understand that, you know, this was a very difficult decision for us to actually build a brand new shelter because we knew that we were in the middle of uncertainty, right? So, but the problem with that is our funders from Health and Human Services, as a matter of fact, from BOCA, they asked us to say, what are you guys going to do? Because in this year 2021, we went and had to evacuate 8 times. We evacuate people that are already traumatized, that are already running for their life, and we evacuate them because of, you know, the disaster.
Forgive me, Megan, but what did you have to evacuate?
From disasters, just from, because we are in a flood zone, and where our building was, our existing old building, we were in the flood zone, so if it rains, we just like flood. So if ever we are in a cone, in that hurricane cone, then we leave. Because that's what happened to us in Imelda, and that's what happened to us in Harvey. So when we evacuate clients, all of them. So we charter the bus, it's about $30,000 just to evacuate everyone. We want you guys to consider the prioritization because I think it's very, very important to be able to see we're the only one that's here. And we're not asking for anything more or we're asking for what we need. And of course, I understand there's a reduction, but really, really look at your prioritization schedule.
I won't try to speak for myself, but I'll only try to speak for myself, but every organization on this list is extremely important. So
Absolutely.
if yours gets cut and everybody else's, please don't think that we think you're not important, because everybody's getting cut and everybody's getting cut.
Yes, ma'am. Did you have anything further?
No, not at all. And as I've said, my thing is your prioritization and your numbers and how you were prioritized to is what I really would like for you guys to consider.
Do we have anybody else? Comment, questions? Ms. Kaler?
Is there anything that the planning commission can do?
Short of printing money.
Could it be that if we amend our motion and second, that if additional funding does come down from the Office of the Governor under these programs, that money could be dedicated to that facility or to that project, if that did, whereas you would approve this, but that if there is any extra money that comes down, could it be earmarked for that? I'm just asking.
We can put that in the notes section of the prioritization that we submit up with this program, criminal justice programs as a whole. The projects that we recommend are funded or not funded, and we're not necessarily involved in we won't know if there's an additional $50,000, but we can put in there, and that could be part of the motion, that if any additional funds go to this program. But we wouldn't, it's not like money comes to us and then we disperse it out.
I'd like to amend my motion to that. I'm not sure how to state it, but.
Do we have an amendment to the second?
Second to the amendment.
All right, you got a second?
No,
Thank you, sir.
I had a
Yes,
question.
sir. Back on questions.
Is it are you under time constraints as to submitting this list and the rankings?
Yes and no. There is time. It's not due till May 8th. We just had to get it. We had to have our prioritization meeting, which we had on the 8th, because it does have to be approved by executive. So we try to not call a special meetings if we do not have to, which is why, but there is time. We have about 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks.
So is there actually time for you to reconsider this ranking and then bring it back to us and before you have to send it in?
If we do a special call meeting specifically for that item. because the prioritization is due ahead of the next meeting, within a couple of weeks. So you do have that option.
Do we have any other questions on that?
So explain to me again how the ranking compared to what what they ended up with. How does that work?
So-
You rank number one, you go from 232 to 227. You rank number two, you don't go anywhere.
So we only did projects over, because the regional budget expectation exceeded, was below what we had submitted projects, because our expectation was about 1.7 million, and the projects that we submitted was a little over 2 million. So what we did, it was originally brought up just as a baseline for all projects over $150,000 to be reduced 10%. That was not the pleasure of the Criminal Justice Advisory Committee, and they suggested, and there was discussion about it, they suggested 2% reduction for projects over $150,000 and not to reduce at all projects under $150,000, and then a 35% reduction for projects over $500,000. And then that was voted on and approved. And then we take once we tabulate all these, and it is, two of our staff work in the transportation room and they tabulate scores. And so we get score sheets, we put them into a spreadsheet. The high score and the low score is taken out to make numbers a little more fair. And then then the average, like a score is calculated. And then they're put in order by score order.
And you said that everybody that submitted something had an opportunity to speak to the committee?
Yes, you're given 5 minutes to present your project, and all applicants are given a score sheet at the workshops that we have. You must attend. It is a requirement to attend a workshop so that you know what's going on. Then you were given 5 minutes to present your project, and then there is unlimited Q&A that advisory committee members can ask the applicant. So there's not a time crunch. As many questions that the committee wants to ask, they have unlimited time to ask.
Yes, sir, Mayor.
You said that the numbers were if it's 500,000 or less, there was a 10% reduction?
That was just the original
That was your original.
suggestion, but that was not.
That was not adopted though.
No, that was just what we do try to provide a starting point from somewhere, that way we're not.
I withdraw my question then.
So the original was $1 million and it went to 800,000 and then 35% of the 800,000?
It was $800,000, and then, so with the victim program, there's a 20% match. However, 20% of it, that is either in kind or cash, can only be used for grant eligible activities. So it says on there that it was $1 million because their project was total $1 million. They were asking from the office of the governor $800,000, and then it's the applicant, once they're awarded, their responsibility to meet the 20% in-kind match, or in-kind or cash match. And so that's why it says $1 million, but they were actually, the office of the governor would have provided $800,000. It was reduced to $520,000.
Well, every one of these programs is important,
Absolutely.
but these folks are completely helpless. And I don't think the ranking's right. Now, if everybody's got a vote, people that are getting 20,000, people getting 800,000, ranking may be skewed here because there was a no reduction. So I don't agree with the ranking at all.
Sir.
So will we have to, redo the motion or amend it so we can, get them to look at these rankings again and then?
See if it passes or not, right?
Yeah, you'd have to call a question that's already there.
First. And I want to ask too, will the committee, I guess the CJAC committee will have to come back, rescore if this was to go the other way, before the executive committee scored, or?
I don't think that has to happen. I can double check the bylaws. I think that these are the recommendations that the committee submitted. It could be the executive committee could even make recommendations that way, because although these are recommendations, the executive committee makes the final decisions on local level, and then the office of the governor makes final decisions at their level.
All right. So I believe we had a call to question. Was that from Hardin County? Yes, sir. Did you have one more question?
What were you funded last year?
We were funded about $589,000.
Okay.
And last year, it's not that our regional budget expectation was more or less last year. There was another project that went in that the committee asked that it be ranked last or not funded, and that was $200,000. So the reductions were a lot less because the committee did not recommend that project to be funded. So $200,000 of last year's RB was already taken off just because that project was not recommended to be funded.
Every year is a little different due to
Yes.
projects not getting funded or a withdrawal, kind of like Jasper County.
Absolutely correct.
So they're giving less, you're asking for more. That's a problem.
Yes, sir, because of the shelter that has built in.
All right, we'll go ahead and move forward. We had called a question on the motion in the second, and I believe those amended to approve the scoring, but under the condition that if the governor's office were to be able to release additional funding that would become available, that it would go directly to that organization or their project. Am I correct? Okay. So we've got a motion in a second. Is there any other discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Probably gonna need to be a record, because there's a vote. Okay, let's, Ms. Suzanne, we're gonna do a record vote. You ready for liftoff? All right. All right. We'll just go with the ayes first, and we'll start there with.
One moment.
Yep.
Yeah, could I just,
Yeah, I'm gonna start right there to the.
can you say?
Just
the
answer
name?
with aye or no. Okay. And your name and then, all right. I'm making it all. We'll just go back and forth. Jay?
Could I possibly call out the names?
Yes, that'd be the best thing. Yeah, it's more fun this way, but.
Okay, and if I miss somebody, just let me know. So, Judge McDaniel.
Aye.
Okay. Commissioner Cook. County Judge Mark Allen. Commissioner Dennis Marks. Commissioner Kerry Erickson.
No.
Is that a no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Commissioner Kirk Rockerford. Commissioner Chris Sowell.
Abstain.
Councilmember Chris Durio.
No.
We did. Mayor Clark McLean. Mayor Jeff Darby.
No.
Mr. Kelvin Knopf.
Aye.
Mayor Arnold.
No.
Mayor Renaud.
Aye.
Mayor Hendricks.
Aye.
Mayor Randy Branch.
Aye.
Councilmember Jay Odom.
Aye.
And Billy Ted Smith was aye, correct? And let's see. I think, did I miss anyone?
Anybody else?
Maurice Phillips, no.
else?
Anybody else that was not called?
Kirk Parker, Orange County.
Kirk? All right, I was made from Suzanne to Tabby Lee.
Wait a second, on Bridge City, I don't think, yours doesn't count. Sorry about that. Looks like 13 par, and I'll bring this up to Shannon so y'all can look over it. And 5 is no. It's a total of 18. I'm sorry?
With one abstention.
That's right. Need to come around a second.
Bless you again.
It's like doctor's work.
Yeah. That's always not.
Easy, she's got a method.
I do have an issue with my writing hand. Okay. So these are yeses. This is no. Abstain. This is a yes for him. I put it first over to the end. He's not actually. Six, seven, 12 to 5. 12 to 5 with one abstention.
Ayes. We have 12 ayes and 5 noes with one abstention. Did y'all hear that in the back? 12 ayes and 5 noes, 1 abstention. That motion passes.
Judge, just as a comment, I want everybody to know that I appreciate Ms. Herondale and her committee and the work they do. My real concern with this is kind of, to me, it sounds like the arbitrariness of what we decided, how we were going to do this reduction. I think everybody understands that the funds aren't as available, but I think there needs to be a more consistent rather than just, okay, this is 10%, this is 35%. Seems rather arbitrary to me, and it affects good programs. So that's probably the biggest concern I have, and I think we need to work on that, Shannon.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Question, I know we've already voted, but the fact that they had a new facility, did that have any effect on their ranking?
It is the opinions, they get to vote how the presentations are presented and the questions asked. I guess it would be up to the committee to decide that. There were questions about the committee, about the new building, yes.
Like what?
Who is on that committee? I'm sorry, I didn't speak over your question.
What were the questions about the new facility?
They asked about, the cost of the new facility. There were questions about debt with the organization and the new facility. I know that they were talking about, Ms. Tomoff talked about the old building is under contract, I believe, and I might be misspeaking. So, and so some of her debt will be relieved once that sale goes through. I can't speak more for the organization.
Is it okay if I speak on
Yes,
that?
ma'am, by all means.
That's okay. So right now, and I just want to make this very, very clear, the VOCA money, everything that we actually ask for the VOCA money is not going to service the debt, because that's not an allowable cost under the grant. I understand there was a question about the debt that we carry for that building. Right now, the old shelter is under contract to be sold about $850,000 to $1 million, about $850,000. And then we have foundation grants that are strictly for capital campaigns, strictly for, the building that we are building. That is in the pipeline right now of about $850,000. So we are actively doing our capital campaigns. As a matter of fact, we have a board member over here, Sean, and we have another, our leadership team that is our shelter director over here. So we are actively doing that. Our schedule for our capital campaign will end in summer of 2027. And we are hoping that we will be able to pay all of the debt. But when it comes to VOCA funding and any federal funds or state funds that we're getting, that is strictly going to our face-to-face. That's strictly going to our program. So that's not we're not paying our debts with any funding from VOCA or HHSC, because it's not an allowable cost. And we also do get audited every single year. We have a clean audit every single year. We file our 990 every single year.
With the applications that are submitted, they do have to follow the guidelines of, the projects that are submitted have to follow within the guidelines. And the Office of the Governor receives applications that were submitted under each funding source, and they do an initial review. And if the project meets the requirements outlined within the request for application, the open application, then they are batched back to the COG. So we, if you've heard us talk about like when batches are coming back, it's because the Office of the Governor will not even send an application back to us to be scored or prioritized unless it passes what they require for their request for application. So anything that comes back to us has passed an initial round of review from the Office of the Governor.
Just for clarity, yes, sir, go ahead.
Who's on the committee? Who is the committee that is making these recommendations to us? I'm sorry.
I can list them. I have a list of them. The last list.
Are they representatives of organizations, county, each county?
County.
Yes, yes. And elected officials have to nominate a representative, and we have to meet several disciplines. So the Office of the Governor requires that we have law enforcement these are the representatives that we need. Juvenile justice, education, law enforcement, victim services, with one being a nonprofit, mental health, I'm missing some, a nonprofit.
Education.
Some of them have fallen off. There used to be a substance abuse, there's not anymore. So we have to meet disciplines, and not more than 1/3 of the committee can be made up with the discipline. So you can't be all law enforcement heavy, all another discipline. We also, if you have a project, because our pool of applicants are small, because they have to be, using quotes, subject matter experts, and be able to because they have to know about the programs and what the organizations do. They also have to be able to vote. So because of that, some of the applicant or some of the committee members are also applicants. And in order not to skew any sort of funding or ranking or score, if you recuse, I'm going to use Beaumont just like I'm here. So I submit an application, and there's 6 other applications. The Planning Commission submits an application. There's 6 other applications in the funding source. And I'm on the committee. I have to recuse myself from my application and the remaining 6. That way there's not, I'm recused and then like trying to take another one. So there are factors in place where we eliminate that as much as possible.
Cover real quick, Kaylin, for your members, what they do. We've got juvenile probation, we've got law enforcement officers. Just go down your list.
Education, our 2 educations are 2
Prosecutors.
superintendents. We have law enforcement agencies, juvenile justice. We have 2, we have 3 probation, juvenile probation chiefs that are on the board. We have mental health. We have Spindle Talk representatives. We have a nonprofit with the United Orange County United Way of Orange County.
Garth House.
Garth House is victim services. Jefferson County has a VOCA representative on there. Prosecution and courts, we have Mr. Daniel Boyd and Judge Baylor Worthel as our prosecution representatives. And
So the long story short on this is the people that made these recommendations to us are people that are locally here.
Correct.
That we all nominated
yes,
to
sir.
be on there and review this.
Yes, sir.
Correct.
And this body voted on it, right? We voted on that in a committee.
Yes, sir.
And any changes to the committee?
December.
Yeah, well, and the last one was last month because Jasper County needed to add, because Ms. Pickle left, and so they nominated their new DA and assistant DA.
So there's, I guess where I was going is there's not somebody sitting in Austin that doesn't know anything about any of these local programs that's recommending this.
No.
This was a group of our peers
Me right here.
that we nominated.
And that's why the committee is so important, because the office of the governor does not have eyes and ears. Like, the committee is the eyes and ears down here. And that's why it's important for us to always represent the committee, because it addresses important needs locally.
Not that it matters, but I would change my vote on that now.
Well, you have to realize that this committee is being faced with a lot of cuts in programs and stuff, and they're just doing the best that they can
I understand totally.
with the money that's coming in. All we're saying is that if there's anything extra that comes in, then we use it. It'll help.
Can I ask a clarification? So we deal with community engagement. So as I'm thinking about things and programs that the community needs that Lamar University can be part of. So in this is the big issue with the ranking being that when it goes up to Austin, they might not get any money because they're at the bottom of the ranking.
So that is true, yes. And part of the reason we always, it is even the recommendation of the office of the governor to submit more than what your allocation is, because if another call doesn't submit as much, that money could possibly come to us. However, if everybody submits over, then scores play a factor in this outside. So it is even possible, because we went $19,000 over our budget expectation, that the project ranked last could also receive an additional $19,000 cut, so they could receive even less money. And if the cuts were so drastic, you know, I know that the last project on there is $520,000, but if cuts were $600,000, then the next two last ranking, you know, the bottom two would be cut. So the way that this is submitted, it is based on scores, ranking, and available funding.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Last chance, none else. Kayla, you have officially been up there longer than Dr. Thank y'all very
Are
much.
we beating your record?
You now hold a new record.
Yeah, we're the one I wanted.
Bob's not here, so you can't take that.
All right, we'll move to, and we're not done yet. Number 9, the 911 Emergency Network Division update on the Jasper County Microwave Tower Project. Information item presented by Eagle Crew.
Judge. So I'm happy to report that progress on the 420-foot microwave tower that was constructed at the Jasper County Sheriff's Office dispatch is well on its way. The crew arrived to construct the foundation. It was a 50 by 50 foot pole, 8 feet deep. They arrived on a Thursday, worked Saturday and Sunday to complete the actual foundation pole, and then actually put together the rebar, many tons of rebar for the foundation. And Monday, they did the concrete pour, and Tuesday, the slab was buried. So the only thing you see out of some of the photos that are included in your packet are just the tips of those 3 columns. And the base of the tower will be attached to those 3 piers that you see. But it just looks like 3 little concrete slabs sticking out of the ground. So but what's underneath it is important to support the tower. It's 440 feet. The wind rating is for class 5 hurricane, so it's wind rated. The purpose of the tower is to provide backup to the fiber cabling that moves the 911 calls throughout the region. If we lose the fiber, the calls, if we were on a 911 call, just like now, this conversation, the citizen and the call taker would hear a click or a pop, it would just automatically fail over to the microwave signal. This happens regularly, and the AT&T is doing maintenance on a fiber, and then that fiber gets disrupted. Call takers have no idea, we don't lose any calls by having this system in place. So we're excited. This is the 2nd milestone for this project. The first milestone is when we signed the contract, and that payment was $397,000. This second milestone that Shannon has signed off on is for $953,286. And that was for the actual shipment of the construction material. Still, that material arrived the same day. And if you look at that very first photo, it's a drone shot, perfectly straight down. If you look off to the left of that photo where all the old evidence cars are, you see a lot of steel on the ground. That is the steel that will be put together in 10-foot sections, and it will be stacked up to 300 foot. And then at that point, they'll use a gin pole to bring up individual pieces and complete the erection of the tower. We're hoping to have this done by the end of May. The next phase for the project will be the installation of the microwave dishes. That's about when we put it forward last year, it was at 1.1 million. It's gone up to 1.2 with all the things that are taking place. So we're still in negotiations with Motorola to see if they'll honor that first 1.1. And that's still in play. But we'll come back to you. And then the next, once that price is set, then we'll complete our amendment to our budget with the commission and also the Commission on State Emergency Communications. There's a process that they require. But everything looks very positive at this point, that this tower will be in place by the end of May. So we're excited about that. Any questions? Love to answer any questions.
I would just like to point out in the second picture, what you don't see is Mark Allen in that little piece of equipment trying to jump it off that mound of dirt. So Jasper County has a new piece of equipment.
Yeah, minus the blade that got tore up when we went down.
And all of that dirt that you see in that photo was used to cover up the slab. There's some dirt left over in the county's property and they'll, Commissioner Holloway, yeah, we'll take care of that and move that off to another site. So
Y'all done a tremendous job and fast. We really appreciate the collaboration.
I was super impressed with Custom Towers. They were on it. They're very impressed. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much. All right, now, future calendar, information item presented by Ms. Suzanne Carver.
Our next executive committee meeting is scheduled for May 20th. And it's not on your calendar, but the next Southeast Texas stand down will be held in Orange at the Orange Expo Center on May 15th. And there are some newspaper articles, some more flyers in this first.
Thank you very much, man. All right, now, other old and unfinished business. I'm starting with some, tell me something good.
I'm going to tell you a few things that are good. The first thing you'll see, the next thing you'll see in your packet is a governor's proclamation announcing Telecommunicators Week for April the 12th through the 18th. Pete and his staff have been delivering TC, that's referred to telecommunicators as, their gifts throughout the 4 counties. So we've also had some community input into this. So I'm going to hand it back to Pete for him to go through what they're all getting.
Thank you, Shannon. Yeah, so this week is Telecommunicators Week. It's a national program where we honor the TCs that take 911 calls. Every emergency starts with a 911 call. And when people are in that situation, they don't always communicate like they want to in a normal conversation. So it's that telecommunicator, that frontline person, is to give them the best technology that they can afford in Southeast Texas. That's not the program. The program is the telecommunicator. We went live December 12th of 91. I've never seen a negative article about the 911 program here in Southeast Texas in all those years. And it's because of the quality and the professionalism that we have with the officers. And again, Shannon pointed out this proclamation that the governor issued. We have about right at 150 call takers in the region. And each year we try and give them a gift that they'll appreciate. This is actually a travel bag, and it's monogrammed with the 911 logo and the word telecommunicator. This is the very last bag to be delivered to Tina Browning at Orange PD. As we speak, Carl is delivering Jasper County SO, and they are the last entry point to receive their gift. We've also included, there's a tape measure in here. And then we reached out to Jason's Chick-fil-A and James Hernandez with Juan's Mexican Food in Lumberton. So if you have a chance to eat at Juan's Mexican Food or Chick-fil-A or Jason's, let them know you appreciate the support that they provided. Southeast Texas. Thank you.
Thanks, Pete. Thanks what you do for those guys. I worked at Walnut PD as a dispatcher for a brief period of time, about 9 months, long enough to figure out that that wasn't my cup of tea. So it's a very stressful job, but it's also a very rewarding job. Those folks that are in those answering points, Pete is absolutely correct. That is the first, when you're in a bind, that is the first voice you hear. So what they give back to people who are in situations in the community cannot be kudoed enough. So thank you. Thank your telecommunicators as well. 3 more quick things for me, and then I'll get to the rest of what's in the packet, and then we're gonna get y'all out of here. Announcement, our Lighthouse program, we just received a word that we're gonna get a $200,000 contribution from Motiva. So always thankful for them. And then we've also got a press event you'll probably see coming up with our Charlton Pollard project, which was a donation that was made by Mobile. We had 5 homes retrofitted through the Lighthouse program with that were weatherized and made more energy efficient. We just got a contract for our Texas Regional Broadband Project, so we're kicking off that 3-year project. There's about $321,000 involved with that, and what you're going to see that do is support broadband and digital opportunity planning activities in the area. And just on a personal note, for those of y'all in Mid-County, my oldest niece is going to be a new Indianette for P&G. Big, huge deal. Big, huge deal. She's our emotional one, so we were all praying extra hard that she was going to make that. So that's a big deal. Okay, next, back to the packet. There's a flyer for a sexual assault awareness resource fair that will be held at St. Mark's Episcopal tomorrow from 11 to 2. And there's information on that. You have a news article in the Beaumont Enterprise about the 911 tower that Pete just covered. And then in the Orange Leader and the Port Arthur News, you'll see articles related to public meetings for our Jorts area metropolitan transportation plan 2050, amendment number 4, draft, the Jorts 2027-2030 transportation improvement plan draft, and then transportation conformity. Jorts stands for Jasper, Jefferson, Orange, Hardin Regional Transportation Study Area Metropolitan Transportation Plan.
Say that real fast.
Can't do it. So of those 5 public meetings, 2 have already been held. There's 3 upcoming. The next one, Monday, April the 20th at Lumberton City Hall. Then the City of Orange Community Room is hosting us Wednesday, April 22nd. And then the Jasper County Courthouse Annex in Jasper County will host us on Tuesday, April 28th. All this information is listed on our website if you want any more information, or call Bob.
Get the hay bales out of the annex.
There we go. And the last article is TCEQ is also getting public comment about their SEP programs. SEP stands for Supplemental Environmental Projects, and our third-party environmental remediation projects that a respondent agrees to undertake in settlement of an enforcement action. We've got 2 of those here at the Planning Commission. One is through Transportation Environmental Resources, our air monitoring project, and the other is our Lighthouse program. And basically what happens is if one of the refineries gets a settlement, they are able to put some of that settlement towards a local project. They have a choice where it goes. TCEQ is trying to make sure that that money stays locally. Our guys do a really good job of making sure that these 2 programs, if they do have an action against them, that they are providing for these 2 programs. So that's it. Thank y'all very much today for your patience.
Just a word, I just got word that TxDOT has decided to postpone the I-10 365 shutdown to a date to be determined later. That was scheduled for this weekend, so we'll see how that goes.
That's shocking.
I do want to say one to Commissioner Martin.
I didn't see on the calendar events about the household waste and scrap collection taking place on May the 30th at Buena High School.
We will make sure that gets on there.
Bob's not here. He's not even here.
We called in sick. He must have known you were going to talk about him.
It'd be an awesome deal. Shannon, if you don't mind, I just want to recognize Pete and his team. That really doesn't have anything to do with the 4 counties planning commission. However, I had an elderly couple reach out, a retired highway patrol and a retired sheriff's employee from way back. that live just on the inside of the Newton County line. They hit a wall trying to get 911 numbers fixed because ambulances were responding literally several miles away whenever they needed help. The medicine wasn't arriving. They couldn't get any help from where they were asking help from the 911. So they reached out to me. I reached out to your team, and even though they didn't have to, they spent quite a bit of time going back and forth across into Newton territory. They probably got shot at a couple of times, but they survived. They got back, but they really helped to open that door and to inform a lot of people that needed to make decisions. And I think those people have actually gotten help. So y'all really stepped up. So thank y'all.
Thank you.
Appreciate Carl and Lima and you jumping out there on that. All right, do we have anything else for the good of the region? No one wants. I beat Johnny Trahan's record for the longest meeting. We're done.
Sure.